I've just put out an offer for you, and I thought I would give you a little bit of background as to why I chose Lumina Learning. Many years ago, when I was an executive search consultant in London, I worked for a global firm, and we had a really thriving, busy department that was purely focused on assessments and psychometrics. And whenever it came to shortlist candidates, I would always request two, perhaps even three assessments, along with an industrial or organizational psychologist. And the reason for that is that one just never cut it. And I realized at that time that, having been through many assessments myself, uh, that really most of them boxed or labeled or stereotyped people and really didn't point in the direction of development. And as a result of that, and I've seen this over the years, Mowbray by Design will be 15 years young this May. And I've seen a lot of resistance from clients when it comes to psychometrics, simply because they may have lost a role, they may have missed out on promotion or uh, some sort of new project, simply because of the way that they were labeled or stereotyped or boxed through an assessment. And assessments of old, and I say of old because some of them really haven't changed much at all over the years, really norm the data back to one stream of thinking around what that person is like. And for me, that just doesn't cut it. We know that we behave differently under different circumstances. We behave perhaps one way when we're comfortable and operating in our realm of expertise, and in a completely different way when we're under extreme stress and pressure and perhaps out of our depth. So when it came to the search for an assessment or a psychometric that I could use with clients and use in terms of the developmental side of working with teams and with leaders, I wanted something so much more. And I'm a great believer that when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And so she did, in the form of one of the global directors from Lumina Learning, who contacted me at the end of 2018. And this last year, using these tools and the various different modalities, there are about 6 or 7, I've come to find that Lumina really allows one to cut to the chase in terms of who we really are under different circumstances, which lends itself to how we actually go about developing ourselves, our teams, our businesses, and beyond. So how Lumina differs and why it's such a disruptor in the industry is twofold. One is that they report back on your 3 different personas. So they look through 3 different lenses in terms of reporting, unlike the usual norming back to a type. And these 3 lenses, the first one is your underlying persona, or who you are at your most natural. And this is where you're most comfortable, you're most motivated, and you don't always show the side of yourself to the world. The second is your everyday persona. This is how you're showing up. It's often how you want the world to see you. And this is how you're kind of operating on a day-to-day basis. And the third is your overextended persona, which I often jokingly refer to as your overcooked persona, because often this is unconscious behavior. You may be reacting under extreme stress or pressure, and you may not be realizing how these behaviors and these reactions to things may be causing you harm, and they're absolutely developmental areas. And the other thing is that often we don't realize our key strengths, the areas that we should be honing or using more of, because we don't realize that we've got them in bucket loads. So Lumina reports back through these 3 different lenses and gives one instant insight into what you need to do to hone your strengths and to develop those areas that might be holding you back. And it may be inadvertently. Of course, we don't do these things on purpose. Often we're really unaware. So the offer that I've put out is to really get you there quickly. Coaching, mentoring, people development, personal development is not a quick process. It's a step-by-step process where we put changes in place, and then we live them out and we embed them once we've got the confidence to do so, and we move on to the next phase of growth. And I know that for a lot of people, they want an instant insight into what they need to do and how they need to craft their development plans for themselves for the year, so that they can realize, or you can realize, your vision for what you want this year to look like, and how you may be inadvertently holding yourself back. And I think that's really important.